Who was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence? John Hancock. What was the first permanent English settlement in the United States? Jamestown, Virginia. Which U.S. president was nicknamed Honest Abe? Abraham Lincoln. In what year was the California Gold Rush? 1848. What was the name of the network of secret routes and safe houses used by slaves to escape to freedom? The Underground Railroad. Who was the only U.S. president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms? Grover Cleveland. What treaty ended the American Revolutionary War? The Treaty of Paris, 1783. Which major waterway was completed in 1825, connecting the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean? The Erie Canal. What was the name of the protest in 1773 where colonists dumped tea into Boston Harbor? The Boston Tea Party. Which president is known for his New Deal programs that aim to combat the Great Depression? Franklin D. Roosevelt. What was the name of the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution? The Bill of Rights. Who is the first woman to be appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court? Sandra Day O'Connor. What was the name of the land deal that doubled the size of the United States in 1803? The Louisiana Purchase. What conflict was fought between the U.S. and Great Britain from 1812 to 1815? The War of 1812. Who was the first African American to serve on the Supreme Court? Thurgood Marshall. What was the name of the journey that forced the relocation of Native American tribes from the Southeast? The Trail of Tears. Who famously said, "Give me liberty or give me death"? Patrick Henry. In what year did the U.S. government create the Social Security Act? 1935. Which city served as the first capital of the United States? New York City. The Emancipation Proclamation was issued by which president? Abraham Lincoln. What was the bloodiest single-day battle in U.S. history? The Battle of Antietam. The Statue of Liberty was a gift to the U.S. from what country? France. What was the name of the U.S. foreign policy that aimed to contain the spread of communism during the Cold War? The Truman Doctrine. Which four presidents are depicted on Mount Rushmore? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Who was the first person to orbit the Earth? John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth. What was the name of the group of writers, poets, and artists who came to prominence in the 1950s? The Beat Generation. What scandal led to the resignation of President Richard Nixon? Watergate. Which U.S. president was a five-star general in the Army during World War II? Dwight D. Eisenhower. Who invented the cotton gin? Eli Whitney. What was the name of the famous protest march led by Martin Luther King Jr. in 1963? The March on Washington. The U.S. purchased Alaska from what country in 1867? Russia. What was the name of the period of economic prosperity and cultural change in the U.S. in the 1920s? The Roaring Twenties. Who is the first woman to run for vice president on a major party's ticket? Geraldine Ferraro. The Apollo 11 mission first landed on the moon in what year? (1969). What major natural disaster struck San Francisco in 1906? An earthquake and the subsequent fire. Who was the leader of the American Federation of Labor? Samuel Gompers. What was the name of the U.S. policy that restricted immigration in the 1920s? The Immigration Act of 1924. Which U.S. president signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Lyndon B. Johnson. What was the name of the war fought to prevent the spread of communism in Vietnam? The Vietnam War. Who was the first U.S. president to visit China? Richard Nixon.